It's 11 o'clock. Make sure and join me on the live. Join me on Facebook, The Street 919 FM. Join me on YouTube. Today's program going to be hot. I have an interesting video to show you guys today, so I really want you all to come on and tell me. You see, I think something is wrong with some people. Some people need to go for psychiatric evaluation.
Watch them. None of them can escape. Well, none of them can.
But remember, as I said to you, join me on Facebook, join me on YouTube now. Join me on Facebook, join me on YouTube.
This just a fire. Oh, this just a fire. Yeah. This just a fire. Oh, this just a fire. This just a fire. Oh, this just a fire. This just a fire. Oh, this just a fire. The whole world.
So today is Thursday. We have a short week, you know. This is a short week. Was a short week. So today is Thursday already. And Thursday the 5th of August. After August is September. Look how fast the
perilous times gonna come, but we just in the trial. When the time come, don't get caught in the fire. Where you gonna stand when it down to the wire? Now is not no time to retire, better be prepared. This just a fire drill. Get out the way before the fire kill. I say this fire kill. This just a fire drill. And don't get caught up in the hocus pocus. Christians focus. This just a fire drill. Get out the way before the fire kill. I say this fire kill. This just a fire drill. And don't get caught up in the hocus pocus. Christians focus. This just a fire. Oh, this just a fire. This just a fire. Oh, this just a fire drill. I know it's all the critics and the skeptics. The only thing they believe is the metrics. So they sit in front of the TV watching Netflix, thinking everything just gonna get fixed. But when the fire come, everybody ball, oh God. They never read the Bible, so they never know God. The oil in the lamps get run out. Brother, don't let your oil run out. Cause if your lamp's not trimmed, I don't know where you're heading. My brother, you don't wanna miss the wedding. The bride getting ready and the bridegroom coming. And you don't wanna be stuck with the five that you're running. Better be prepared. It's just a fire drill. Get out the way before the fire kill. I say this fire kill, oh no, this just a fire drill. And don't get caught up in the hocus pocus. Christians focus. It's just a fire drill. Get out the way before the fire kill. I say this fire kill, oh no, this just a fire drill. And don't get caught up in the hocus pocus. Christians focus. It's just a fire. 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 And I say, who's your hair gonna feel? And how you gonna hear the Lord voice if you don't read? Meditate upon the word. Don't waste time, get deep in the word. Many gonna cry and I say, who the hair gonna feel? The only way to hear the Lord voice is if you read. Stop playing with fire and brimstone. The iron and clay will get mixed stone. Yeah, the whole world get shake up. Government's putting on makeup. I don't know when all of my people gonna wake up. They just a fire drill.
It's just a fire drill. Remember, join me on Facebook and YouTube right now. All right, you can join me on Facebook and on YouTube right now. And let's do this. I want to hear your views on this video that I have for you today, and plenty of other things. I'm seeing where the OWTU president Ansel Roger is having a press conference that is going on as we speak. So Ansel Roger, the president of the OWTU, a gentleman who I really kind of take to, look up to kind of way, and really find that he was, Mr. Roger was a gentleman that, you know, I found to be very very interesting in the sense that, you know, I found that Mr. Roger, at times, you know, I would have listened to some of his, yes, I found Mr. Roger to be very, very charismatic. Some people used to want to know what I used to hear or see to make me believe that Mr. Roger was charismatic. But yes, that was my take on him. I really thought that he was a charismatic person, and I really think that I thought that Mr. Roger would have been somebody who one day could have led Trinidad to be. I just tell you now what I thought, so don't crucify me.
Almighty make me know, oh, I am a winner, oh yeah, oh, I am a winner. I am a winner from the Caribbean, oh, oh, I am a winner, oh yeah, oh. Get a dream, perceive it, conceive it, believe it, you'll achieve it. Nothing can stop you except how you see yourself. You're not less than nobody else, know that you're great, you too can do it, better get to it. You meant to hurt these minds before, let me remind you once more. No, you can do it, get up and show the greatness inside you, baby. I am a winner, Almighty make me know.
Yes, so, I'm sorry about that. I was a little distracted there. I had to deal with something. All right, so, yes, so Mr. Roger, I'm you know, I'm confessing today. I always felt as though Mr. Roger was someone who could have one day, you know, led Trinidad and Tobago. You know what I mean? That's just me, I just had that vibes, you know. Just thought that he was that kind of brother that one day could have led Trinidad and Tobago. Then when I started to listen to some of the statements that he was making, I was like, okay, I am surprised at Mr. Roger. You know, was really taken aback by some of the things that he would have said, but being that, yeah, I don't think I want to sink myself anymore with that statement, because I know that the phone lines could go crazy with that statement. But on a real, I really thought that Mr. Ansel Rocher was somebody who really and truly could have led this country one day. You know, that's how I saw him. That's how I perceived him. And as a young man, I looked up to him. You know, as a young man, I looked up to him. And I felt as though he really had it in him to be a leader in Trinidad and Tobago. If it's opposition or government, that's just my take on it. Again, I could be, I sometimes when I listen to him now, I realize that, you know, I was a little wrong. But that's cool. That's cool. Sometimes, you know, you have to see people for who they are. And, you know, there's a statement made by a friend of mine's, pastor friend of mine's, where sometimes he say, just leave people and they'll show you who they are. You know? Sometimes you're not always quick to judge somebody, but sometimes you just have to leave someone and they will show you exactly who they are. Sometimes we try to show up people for who they are, but sometimes you just have to leave people alone and they will show you who they are. You know what I mean? Sometimes we fight up and we try to prove and we try to convince other persons, hey, this is how that person is, you know. But to be honest with you, sometimes you just have to, as I said, leave that person alone and they would show up themselves. Clearly, Mr. Rocher would have done that in my eyes. Because I, at one point in time, as I said, I saw him as someone who has leadership qualities to lead Trinidad and Tobago or be a part of leadership in Trinidad and Tobago. All right, let's have a call on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Sorry about that. You were going to call me. Said you were going to call me.
I didn't work on Tuesday, and it was Monday. I told you that. So I didn't, and I would call you from. I would, as I said to you, Mr. Bootman, we don't have any CD players in the building.
Right.
To download a CD, we don't have any. I don't know. I don't have a laptop or a computer to download a CD.
Right, but the question was, I was going to get back those CDs and put them in the.
So what I will do, all right. So what I will do, I will leave it downstairs because it's safe. I have it safe, so I'll leave it downstairs for you to come and collect it, and you can put them on a flash drive.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Right. So yes, Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, Trinidad and Tobago. So as I said to you just now, sometimes you have to leave people and they'll show you exactly who they are. Sometimes we try to, because we are seeing, we perceive certain things about some people. We tend to say, you know what? Yeah, man, I know, I see that person for who they are. You know, and you kind of had to wait a little bit. It's had to wait, you know. So my good friend would have shared something. I want to just play it for you. He said two things, and I want to share them with you this morning. So I want you to listen to this, Trinidad and Tobago. Listen to this, right? Okay. The audio is off. All right, so if you are on YouTube and on Facebook, you need to join me. I'll show you this video with my good friend, Bishop John Francis, and listen to what he has to say, all right? So join me on Facebook, join me on YouTube. Remember, when you're joining me on YouTube, you're typing in Iwer TV -live broadcast on the Street 919 FM. So I'm looking at YouTube. I'm waiting for you to join me on YouTube. And on Facebook, you're typing in the Street 919 FM. This guy who keeps coming on our Facebook page, boy, I'm really going to try to get management to block this man, you know. Because this guy keeps making these racist statements. We need to deal with this. Something is wrong with this, you know. So again, let me say good morning to all the people joining me on Facebook. All right. Let me say good morning to all the people joining me on Facebook. Thank you all very much. And please ignore this guy. I'm going to try to get him off our live. I'll talk to Bruce. I think Bruce knows how to do it better than me. Because even when I block him, I don't know how he just come back. But this man makes some real statements that could throw you off, boy, and get you in some trouble. All right, so I want to show you this video. Listen to this from Bishop John Francis. I'm going to show you two videos from Bishop John Francis. Listen to what he had to say. And tell me if this is not true. Tell me if this is not true, Trinidad and Tobago. Listen to this, wise man. Listen to what he had to say.
You are not sure of a person, the best thing you can do is to keep your mouth shut.
You hear what he said? If you are not sure about a person, the best thing to do is to keep your mouth shut. And listen why he says it. Listen to this.
You are not sure of a person, the best thing you can do is to keep your mouth shut and your eyes open and wait for time to reveal who they are.
You hear that? I'm giving you some advice, free advice this morning. Bishop John Francis is saying, if you want to know about a person, listen what he's saying, you know. Listen what he's saying. Listen to him carefully.
You are not sure of a person, the best thing you can do is to keep your mouth shut.
If you're not sure about a person, the best thing to do, keep your mouth shut.
And your eyes open and wait for time to reveal who they are. Because time is a revealer. And some of you need to shut your mouth and just wait and watch Satan reveal who he is. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Someone shout hallelujah. You are not sure.
I don't know how many of you will agree with that. Trinis, this is a hard thing for a Trinidadian to do.
The best thing you can do is to keep your mouth shut. You are not sure of a person, the best thing you can do is to keep your mouth shut and your eyes open and wait for time to reveal who they are. Because time is a revealer. And some of you need to shut your mouth and just wait and watch Satan reveal who he is. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Someone shout hallelujah.
On your workplace, in your neighborhood, somebody who coming around you, some simple advice, simple advice he just give you there. I hope that you did take the advice. I have one more I want to play for you. One more advice.
Adversary is a mathematical term. Adversary means reverse or oppose. It is the person that adds itself to you.
Wow. I want you to listen to this. Listen to this. See, some of you need to hear this so that you'll understand what you're going through. So listen to this. Listen to this. Some constructive talk. Constructive advice. You're going to get this morning. Listen to this.
Adversary is a mathematical term. Adversary means reverse or oppose. It is the person that adds itself to you to oppose you. That's why it's your adversary. It says your adversary, the devil, it's not no mistake, as a roaring.
You hear that? You hear who is your adversary? Listen to him again. Listen to him again.
Adversary is a mathematical term. Adversary means reverse or oppose. It is the person that adds itself to you to oppose you. That's why it's your adversary. It says your adversary, the devil.
You hear that? Some advice. Be careful who you add into you. Be careful who you add into you. Be careful who you are allowing into your space. You know what I mean? Sometimes every skin teeth is grin. And everybody who in your space care about you or like you. So, I said I wanted to play those two clips for you today. I hope that you did enjoy it. Someone is a friend of mine's now sent me another one. And they said that this is just a crown to put the icing on the cake. So I'm going to play this one for you as the icing on the cake. All right? So I hope that you listen to this one. It's very short. Nice too. I think I like it also. So listen to this one. Some little tips for you to go through the day. Listen to this.
Stop telling people your business. Some people talk to you so that they can talk about you.
Ooh. You hear that?
Stop telling people your business. Some people talk to you so that they can talk about you.
Is that true? Is that not true? Is that true or is that not true? Stop telling people your business. Huh? Stop telling people your business. Hello, good morning.
Yes, Pastor. Google.
Yes.
Morning again. I want to add also that, God protects people directly and indirectly. The same way somebody might block someone or add someone on their phone or block them from calling. It is just a prevention God is making, and they actually do it. They actually move away based on God protection. I don't know if you know what I mean. Like, for instance, if somebody calls, God is one to prevent people from toxic relationships. So in order to do that, eventually some people, or most people I notice, will self-destruct because by their own shortcomings, their own inequities. And that is what sometimes when people add somebody up and then block them because they have a purpose or coming in someone's space for a particular agenda in order to, some people might say, how are you going? And they want to know all your business because they're interested in subtracting and not adding to the value of someone's life. Anyway, have a good day.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so I hope that I'm seeing some people telling me that they appreciate the little nuggets that I dropped there for you all. All right? Love it, Pastor. Love it. I know that you would. I know that you would. All right? I know that you would. So, getting ready. So I told you that I have something I want to show you today. All right? I have something I want to show you today. And I hope that you do learn. I hope that you learn something from it. So join me on Facebook, join me on YouTube. We said that we're going to continue the Black history and the Black topic, the Black discussion here on the Street 919 FM. It's we're going to continue that discussion. So what I want you to do is to join me on Facebook and YouTube, and I want you to listen to this. This is my continuation of the Black history information that I said that I would do. And so I'm going to do this from now until 12 o'clock. And then from 12, we're going to get into other discussions right here on the Street 919 FM. So join me on Facebook and on YouTube now. Let me give you some information. Now, this gentleman, his name is Dr. Claude Anderson. Dr. Claude Anderson is a historian. He is a liberator. He is a gentleman that stands up for Black people and reparation. He talks about, I'm trying to remember the other name of the stuff that he talks about. But I want you to listen to Dr. Claude Anderson. I don't believe that it will go over 12 o'clock. But I want you to listen to Dr. Claude Anderson. Share the live, and tell me what are your thoughts. I believe it's about 15 minutes long, so you can call in right after and tell me what you think.
Hundreds, for only three reasons. Either you were a victim of a religious persecution, or you had some indebtedness, was enslaved, or you were a prisoner of war. Those never existed on the earth until the 1400s. Now, racism never existed on the earth until the 1400s. Never had it. There was no such thing as racism. You had people, for instance, who had practiced various forms of discrimination. We even had slavery. But to be enslaved prior to the 1400s, for only three reasons. Either you were a victim of a religious persecution, or you had some indebtedness, was enslaved, or you were a prisoner of war. Those are the only three reasons you could be enslaved until the 1400s. About 1442, when Magellan, he went around, Henry the Navigator went around the coast of Africa and picked up about 16 blacks and brought them back in 1442 and gave them to the Pope as gifts. And those slaves worked around the Vatican in Italy from 1442 and about 1488. And it became a good thing to have all these blacks working free around the Vatican and in the Pope's space. No labor to be paid for. Other people wanted those advantages. So Pope Pius put out a public edict, Pope Innocent put out a public edict saying, look, if you want some slaves, go get some, but get black folk. He put out a public edict saying, if you're going to enslave anybody, enslave black people. And once that hit, all of a sudden everybody got interested in getting slaves. And that started the whole movement in 1488 and 1489. Now, something happened very important in 1495. Y'all know what happened in 1495? Allegedly, for this guy who was over here looking for drugs and some other thing. What was his name? Columbus. Y'all remember that guy? Now, he came over here and he supposedly discovered America about 7 years after the Pope had put out his edict using blacks as slaves. Now, all of a sudden, he goes back to Europe. A race started. All these countries got into a race to develop the Western world that Columbus said he had discovered. And what was the race about? They wanted to colonize and get resources, wealth, gold, silver, and cash crops from the West, because they never knew that the Americas existed. People in Europe never knew that there was a North America, Central America, and a South America. They got into a contest to explore it and to find it and profit from it. And because at that time, prior to that, thank you, sir. Prior to that, the only, can you all hear me as well without this? Which one do you need? You need this one? Okay. So prior to that time, they had Europe all through the 1400s, but they call that, was going through what's called the Dark Ages. Europe was crime-ridden, impoverished, diseased, and they said, we can resuscitate Europe. We can strengthen this continent, and we can find a way to develop the Western world, the Americas, Latin America, Central America, North America. If we can develop that country, we can bring ourselves out of a ditch as an European continent. And so they all said, well, how are we going to do it? They said, we need a labor class. So they all rushed down and picked up the Pope's edict and started grabbing blacks off the west coast of Africa. It was picking those blacks up on average about $25 a piece. And they started setting up, so they want a 1,500% return of their money. They started selling them for $400-some a piece. And so they started shipping blacks all into this country in Latin America and Central America to put them to work as a labor class. Now, the countries that started at race, it started with Arabs. Arabs were the first ones that started enslaving black folk. I don't know if you all know that or not. Arabs were the first ones that started enslaving black folk, and Arabs have been enslaving black folk now for 1,300 years. Arabs first started enslaving blacks in 765 AD when they marched into Africa in what they called in search of the 3 G's, God, glory, and gold. And they pursued Africa until the 12th century when they overtook Timbuktu and Timbuktu fell, then they started dominating Africa. But Arabs were the first ones. Portuguese were the second ones. Hispanics were the third ones. Then the Germans and the Danes. Then the French. Then the English. The Norwegians on down the line. Then lastly was the American Indians. Everybody's enslaved black folk. And that's what a race was. A contest started to develop the Western world. The rule was he who gets there first with the most slaves and make the most money will be the most powerful nation on earth. And the race began. Everybody was in the race to use. Everybody's enslaved black folk. And that's what a race was. A contest started to develop the Western world. The rule was he who gets there first with the most slaves and make the most money will be the most powerful nation on earth. And the race began. Everybody was in the race to use black folk except black folk. And began shipping blacks into America. And they shipped black folk in. They justified it initially by saying that it was an economic issue. Everybody knew it was an economic issue. It stayed an economic issue. all the way from the 1500s up to the 1700s. In the 1700s, when the evangelical movement moved to this country, they switched enslaving black folk to make it a religious issue. Why? Because King James then wrote, when England took over the slave trade as the biggest one and started leading the slave trades and started winning the race, King James rewrote the Bible, called the King James Version. And even had, what's his name now? What's the writer? Huh? Shakespeare and the rest of them writing. All of them rewrote the Bible. And they rewrote the Bible, then since England was the dominating country for slaves, all the slave states were mandated to use scriptures to justify enslaving the black people. So religion then became a means of codifying slavery. When the slave owners started teaching black folk that when you hear me talk about the master and the slave in the Bible, on earth, it's the white man is the master and you're the slave. And you're mandated to do three things. One, to accept your station in life. Two, to be humble and obedient. Three, to work hard and don't steal and don't lie. And lastly, to look for pie in the sky after death. And that stayed true up until about 1880. At that time, religion was the justification for slavery. This is important for you now. Slavery then moved from being an economic issue to a religious issue. It stayed a religious issue up until about 1859, again on the eve of the Civil War. On the eve of the Civil War, a guy named Darwin, Charles Darwin. Remember Charles Darwin? He wrote a book called The Survival of the Species, or The Survival of the Fittest. And what he's been doing, along with a lot of other pseudoscientists, was trying to connect a linkage between the lowest and the highest in life. What he was saying is that, is an amoeba that's that small, is it greater or smaller than an elephant that's big? Is a blade of grass lower in the chain than a tree? And they kept setting up these vertical systems. They call them genuses and species, going from the lowest of everything to the highest. But by that time, the white society had successfully redistributed by 1860 almost 97% of all the wealth and power into the hands of the dominant white society. The race was nearly over by 1860 or 1859 when Charles Darwin wrote his book. And they looked around and said, look, they're whites. Now let's get to human beings. We worked out the relationship between between a bush and a tree and an amoeba and an elephant. But look at the black. The black has nothing. He's on the bottom. And the white master's on the top. He owns and controls everything with all the education. So obviously the white man must be superior to the black man. And so then all of a sudden, racism and the whole issue switched. Slavery all switched from being a religious issue, it became a biological issue. When it became a biological issue, all governments mandated that you must put a person's race on his birth certificate, driver's license, whatever it is. It became a biological issue. But the race was over then. When the race was over, they looked around. And since whites had used slavery for so long, whites own everything. Almost 100% of everything, 99 to 1.5% belonged to the dominant white society. The slave owned nothing. The white was on top, the black was in a ditch. The race was over. When the race was over and blacks had nothing and whites had everything, the race ended. And what the society did then, they took the word race, R-A-C-E. They scratched the E off the end of race and stuck a suffix called ISM. ISM is a suffix which means keep the prevailing conditions, let nothing change. And that's where racism came from. The race was over. Whites wanted, they had everything. They took the E off the end of the word and stuck ISM. That's what racism is. Racism is a competitive relationship starting out to get wealth and resources and power. But what they teach you now is that racism has something to do with liking people, getting along with people. That's not racism. And when I ask people, I said, do you know what racism is? They say it's prejudice. You cannot eradicate prejudice. Everybody got a right to be prejudiced. All prejudice is you got a preconceived judgment or feeling about something based on previous experience. Right now, because of ice cream, I love burgundy cherry ice cream. So guess what? I'm prejudiced towards burgundy cherry ice cream. So now when I want some ice cream, I exercise my prejudice. I say I'm going to get me some ice cream, some burgundy cherry ice cream, because that's what I'm prejudiced for. Now I say, where am I going to get it from? I've gotten a lot of ice cream from a lot of stores, half of one worth a quarter. That's what Baskin-Robbins had the best. So now I'm biased towards which ice cream parlor? Baskin-Robbins. I'm biased to go there to exercise my prejudice. Now when I get into Baskin-Robbins, I'll walk up and down the counter, looking at all the cherry mocha, the black chocolate rock, peppermint juicy fruit. I look at all that ice cream. And then guess what I'm doing now? Now I am discriminating. I'm discriminating against what kind of ice cream I want to satisfy my prejudice. And so I'll pick, and I go down and I say, burgundy cherry, that's it. Now, that prejudice, that bias, that discrimination has nothing in the world to do with racism. Don't let people keep tricking you by comparing prejudice and discrimination with racism. That's why all the gays jump and say, well, we're just as bad off as black folk. They're prejudiced against us. That has nothing to do with racism. You tell people, I don't care about your being prejudiced or discriminated. That doesn't bother me as a black person. I'm scared of racism. I'm scared of the fact that you're going to own and control everything. That's what you should be working on. So everything you do in this city must go after eradicating racism. Not prejudice, not bigotry, not getting along with people, not bias. You must try to redistribute some wealth and resources back in the hands of black folk as quickly as you can. That's what you need to be working on.
Three 342-0081, 342-0081-771-1791, and 466-5391. Do you agree? Do you disagree with Dr. Claude Anderson? Do you agree or do you disagree? While I wait for your call, listen to this, just to add to what Dr. Claude Anderson said.
You can take the slave out of slavery, but only the slave can take the slavery out of himself. Mm-hmm. We're probably the only group in America, the only cultural group who does not believe in intergenerational financial planning. Black folks, whether we poor or rich, we do not plan for our grandchildren's success.
Right. That's right.
We plan for ours and maybe our children's. But being a therapist, I end up working with white families, European, Jewish, Latino, all types of people come to therapy. And one of the biggest differences I noticed between us and them is they don't consider themselves to be financially set unless their grandchildren's grandchildren are set. So if you ask them, are you wealthy? They don't answer it from a first-person perspective. In order for them to tell you that they're wealthy, they must feel that they have enough assets in order for their grandchildren's grandchildren to eat off of their estate. That's not us. We're selfish. We think about ourselves and we think about the next generation. And then when you look at our financial statistics as a people, they're absolutely horrible. We talk about Wilmington, Delaware, the educational outcomes in Wilmington. Well, guess what? We spent $600 million on McDonald's last year, nationally. Black people spent $2 billion on Air Jordans, $4 billion on alcohol, $9 billion on weave and perm for 1 year. With that type of money, why doesn't every child in Wilmington have the prerogative to attend, not a charter school, because they're still public, but an independent African-centered school?
What are your thoughts?
Before we can have any other revolution in the black community, political, economic, family, you got to have a psychological revolution. Until black people change the way we think about ourselves and our future, nothing else changes. Because you can take the slave out of slavery, but only the slave can take the slavery out of himself.
What are your thoughts? 342-0081. 342-0081. 771-1791-466-5391. I just want to hear what you guys have to say. I would really love to hear your view. Hello? Hello? Okay. All right. You can call me back. All right. I saw you calling. It hung up. So I wait your call while we get ready to go for the 12 o'clock news. All right. So you can give me a call. 342-0081 771-1791 466-5391. Hello. Good afternoon. Good morning. Hello. Good morning. Hello. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Caller, good morning. Caller, you are on live. Good morning, sir.
Pastor Google, I'd like to change my name. I'd like to change my name from Lividia to Central.
No. Well, then we
because I
can't do
noticed
that.
Central can call, but Lividia not supposed to call.
Well, I don't know who said that, but 342-0081. Why you ain't call to talk about what I just played? Something wrong with us, you know. I tell it earlier, something wrong with us. Hello, good morning.
Google, let me say this. The Arabs have been taking emptying Africa long before Islam. And they used to march them through the desert with salt. That time gold wasn't discovered yet. Zanzibar Island was the storing island for slaves. Right? Now, join and take them to India. As we speak today, there are 40,000 Ethiopians living in India long before Islam.
All right, so call me back.
Oh, good. Low.
The system.
Let me catch my breath earlier. Me playing mad in real life, I'm tired.